welcome to another Writer's Showcase, everybody. Got a good assortment of guests today, so we'll start off with MrTheBomb.com, or so he claims, Mr. Johan.
Is everything ready? Do it.
Thousands of souls extinguished by the push of a button.
Understand, Yuri. This is only the beginning.
Hello.
Mhm.
Still a lovely game.
Mhm. Never played it.
Dracaris, you lot.
Hello. Or
Hello,
two.
Count.
Greetings, minions.
Yes, it has been great.
Anyone in the chat yet? Probably not. Not yet.
Really, no.
Well, they will come.
Yeah, they'll come. They'll come. Let's see. Yeah, now that the live stream and videos thing is there,
Mm,
they'll turn up.
yeah,
Hopefully.
indeed.
Let's see.
What does what does the radar say, Count?
And one last person on the thing. Please welcome Mr. Raptor.
Hello.
Greetings. Yes, that one works for everybody pretty much.
I generally thought you were just gonna put in the man horse clip.
The man horse clip. Interesting.
Don't give me any good ideas.
Good ideas. Are they not
Mhm.
supposed to be bad?
Good in big screaming scare quotes.
Oh no, not the scarecrows. That will definitely scare off Crow.
Scare quotes, but yes.
Like,
Just look. What do you see?
A man fucking a horse.
Maybe if they did that thing in super speed, it would be funny.
Okay, that's actually quite
that-
a good one. I
That
like it.
clip was from my favorite TV show, Better Call Saul, and I'm so psyched for season 6, which is going to premiere this Monday.
ooh, get hype.
Nice.
Get ready for the train, boys. Hype
This is like
train.
the only thing that I'm expecting to be really good this year. Everything else that I'm interested in watching, is going to be bad, like Jurassic World Dominion.
Well, that is expected to be bad. Come on.
Or Lord of the Rings.
I am gonna watch that, and I'm gonna force some people to watch it with me, and then we're gonna laugh at it and grab some popcorn and laugh even some more. That
Well,
is some.
There's
Good
also
idea.
going to be like Stranger Things. Yeah, Stranger Things season 4 is also going to come out, and The Boys season 3.
Oh yeah, those are both gonna be bad.
House of the Dragons
Mhm.
might be good, though.
There's like a 50% chance it'll be good, yeah. But it's definitely, I don't believe that it'll be great. I think it's just gonna be like fine to good. There's nothing gonna offend. There's nothing. Unless I'm wildly mistaken, it's mostly just gonna be like, yeah, this is fine. That's my current prediction. Could be wrong though.
Yeah.
Well, fine is at least something, you know.
It'll be competent anyway.
Yeah.
It's better than utterly disappointment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Alrighty. So, seems like your audio is fine, Raptor. So if we want to go
Okay.
in Raptor to Valerian to Johan to me,
Sure.
I feel a bit more comfortable with the audio recording because I really liked my take.
okay, okay, alrighty. I can do that. We'll just mute everybody, and I'll get that set up. 1 second.
Okay,
Aye,
thank
aye.
you.
Okay.
Oh,
This is a suspenseful moment in the story.
1 second. I'm not almost forgot to share the audio.
World of the Lost. Chapter 1. Trouble in Records. 2 moons glimmered behind the rubble of a once blithesome star cruiser. From bridge to engine, debris collided with one another, while passing the corpses of its passengers. Their claws were frigid, and scales burnt across the snout, only to be engulfed by a colossal shadow looming over the scene. The warship's bulky exterior of plain blues and dry reds was peppered by dents, yet the windows were still smooth. Behind the glass lay 2 figures with coats of dark fur complementing their white uniforms. One figure held a star-shaped medal ripped from the other, as tumultuous thuds from above began to cease. "Captain John, what have you done?" He glanced at John's face, assuming his wrinkles were hiding contempt. "My fair brother, I understand the weight of my actions. Despite the unforeseen circumstances, I, for one, state. Don't look at my eyes, Captain. Pay attention to the floor as you speak." John lowered his neck and noticed a green voice recorder the secretary held. "Great. Wonder how he'll recontextualize me this time," John thought as he hurled his hands to the abdomen and looked straight at the black and white tiles. He closed his yellow eyes, took a breath, then opened them. "I state my command has led to the possible deaths of every soul in this vessel, including yours, Mal, Secretary of Admiral Stern." Mal's sly smirk stretched into his coarse cheekbone. When the title is said, the smile is born. I've got to make this quick for both of our sakes. I wanted to replenish the Grand Yari's axiom fuel and treat their guests with delicacies of West Antius. We messaged the Yari stating that we have cargo to unload. Afterwards, I commanded the Silverback to chart a course and intercept their current route. We scooped up some reptilian pirates heading opposite to our direction and imprisoned them. When the Grand Yuri was in our sights, it blew up. Why did so many have to die? My intentions were only charitable, but turned to be fruitless. Mal stopped the recording and widened his eyes. Indeed, they were charitable, admirable even, but that charitable nature has proven costly. John scratched his dislocated jaw. Matthew could surpass my rank. A hothead like him will do even more damage between the crew chiefs and components. Sweat streamed from his bruised hands. I must remain calm. I can't control this. Mal tilted his head. Please, don't worry, big guy. Your new Admiral Prestige score was sent to me just 2 hours ago. I can spare you the anticipation and rip the banding off if you would like. John gradually repositioned his robust shoulders. If you're going to humiliate me, may you do so while I stand firm. Mal's grin slowly faded. Yes, you may posture yourself now. John cast an overbearing shadow over Mal. No, the report. The Grand Yuri blew up, caused approximately 834,220 avathalers worth of damage to this vessel. That's 270 deducted from your score. The debris almost killed everyone on the loading docks. A further 390 was deducted. 668 piece lost. That ship just had to blow up, didn't it? Amazing. You see, John, do you understand the extent of what you've done now? What you've done now? I do. Secretary of the Great Admiral Stern. Thanks for enlightening me. Mal restrained his upper lip while his eye twitched. Never forget that your rogue ambition put this fine vessel in harm's way. Never forget, Captain John. John's wrinkles were eased. Mal bellowed like he was yelling to a pillow. I thought his coat was thicker. The secretary turned his back, revealing a latent sigil underneath his shoulder blade that stated, Republic of Saparos, as he vanished into the corridors. Wonder how the chief is taking this. Or poor Tallyhand. The kid's never seen carnage like this. John aligned his two medals and dusted off the one to his right. He ambled his way through shipwrights, medics, and dazed crew members, saluting as many as he could. The bridge was in view, with an overhead sign declaring Floor 103. As many eyes darted in his direction. They look more concerned than disappointed, especially Tallyhand. Have you heard about what the Raptors are planning? Tallyhand said with a shaken tone. That they want to preserve the 40th anniversary of peace. Does that mean we'll have to attend? John reached out and placed his hand on Tallyhand's shoulder. It does, Tallyhand, and there's nothing to fear. They are not responsible for the explosion. Tallyhand's blue eyes scampered to the floor. How do you know? How are you certain? I know, because raptors aren't as moronic as we give them credit for. Same goes for the reptiles. The most likely cause was probably an engineering accident. The Grand Yuri was the first of its kind to have an O-ring imported from Shellicor. When the vessel landed on Czech Zeus's surface, the high temperature could have loosened the O-ring's grip on its joints that connected the engine, and eventually combusted. Tallyhand rubbed his finely combed fur towards the face, where his right eye used to lay. Well, I suppose it is rare, but it's happened before, especially from Shellicor. Especially from Shellicor. John and Tallyhand turned their heads to be greeted by a towering, yet slender figure who emerged from the crowd. Walsing. He must have more intel on Persiclide Jevitile. Why else would he be here? I've been waiting an entire hour. That Mal fellow likes to talk, doesn't he? Walsing boasted. He likes to entertain himself, if that's what you mean, John proclaimed in an embittered tone. Walsing snapped his twitching fingers. I heard you were on about Shellicor, and I like your hypothesis. Tallyhand's smooth wrinkles became embroiled. Not to offend you, but it's a theory, not a hypothesis. Walsing grinned at Tallyhand, cornering him against the pentagonal window. How thin do I peer in your mind's eye, kid? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's as simple as that. Tallyhand darted his eye towards John. Yeah, I know. He can get intense. His twitching fingers became palpitating. Since I'm clearly no scientist, it's a good thing that I am well acquainted with the perception of deception. Take Shellicor's aerospace facilities, for example. Those reptiles are full of snakes, I tell ya. Their products are alluring at a glance, but rotten at its core. Like, Walsing began to look over at Tallyhand as his smile grew. Like that loathsome food Grucci's make for St. Eugenius Day. Tallyhand tossed his hand to the left arm and backed away until his garments touched the window. John tightened his fist and launched his finger. Walsing, Do not dig any deeper. The smile on Walsing's thin face reduced to a mild smirk. It's amusing to see a fellow Cabonan defend a Grucci, but I'm bound to your word, Captain. I stepped out my boundaries. Walsing, what inquiries need my attention? Need my attention? John mellowed. Ah, yes. Chief Cora sent me up from the medical bay. His team didn't find anything intriguing about our pirate friends. All the reptiles pled that they were on our route to steal more axiom from smaller vessels. And let me tell you, their leader is a nutcase. He illegally goes through a known route course, and he expects to be treated like some king. Unfortunately, Chorus's team only revoked their license, which means their ship will be protected from search and seizure until their information is transferred elsewhere. You can leave them alone. Seriously? Their ship was only an hour away from the Grand Yuri. There has to be a connection. Any info on Persiclite Jevitile? Nothing but crickets, John. My spies are doing their best. More activity may appear after the 40th anniversary. I hope so. My IP score needs some saving. In the meantime, let me rattle some cages. You know how the cold-blooded are. A giggle erupted from Welsing. He oscillated from Talian back to John. More than you know, Captain. Welsing glanced upward towards the bridge. There's a teletanglement that needs my attention. We'll keep in touch. Footsteps echoed through the wide interior as Welsing went upstairs. Welsing never takes those wretched shoes off, does he? Talian said with a tender snarl. View it as a cue to leave, John remarked. Remember, most Cabonans aren't like this. You'll meet the tolerable ones at the anniversary. Talian jolted midway through the corridor. Yeah, like how most reptiles can make quality ship parts. Speaking of reptiles, why are you going to interrogate these pirates? The ship explosion was an engineering oversight, right? John started to remove the reptilian-shaped metal from his left shoulder. It probably was, but what is there to gain from arrogance, Apologies for my attitude, Captain, but I'm not speaking from arrogance. If the pirate ship was inside of the Grand Yuri, wouldn't we have received a tanglement alert message from the Yuri's crew? That's protocol, and I imagine their sensor arrays are stronger than whatever hunk of junk these pirates are dealing with. John attempted to restrain his grin. Great to see him stand up for himself. Well, Chorus mentioned that before Mel came to enlighten me. I'm doing this on an off chance their leader speaks of something juicy. If he does, it'll boost my AP score. Oh, sorry about your AP score. How much did they detract? As he began to place the repelling metal in his pocket, it reflected in John's yellow eyes. He closed them, exhaled, then looked down at Talian's eye. 660. Captain Matthews is going to be the next admiral unless I work overtime. Overtime? It'll take months to recover that score. What about your family, your son? Relax. I will visit them soon. I just need to prioritize this. Okay, buddy? With his hand still holding to the left arm, Talian drooped his head, avoiding eye contact. Got it. Just remember to take breaks now, all right? The metal sank into John's pocket and lay hidden. I've taken enough breaks, kid. See you at the anniversary. John marched across the corridor as he patted Talian's back and dashed to an elevator nearby. Exiting the elevator, he went through sparkling hallways that smelt of burnt stag, while the wails of the injured came into earshot. His bruised hands clamped as the pristine sign, Floor 89, Prison Homes, appeared over the gateway. In that case, At least he'll be easy to crack. Ty probably doesn't know that we assume he hasn't seen the Grand Yari. Susurration spewed from cage to cage as John and two frazzled guards advanced their way down the narrow passage. Is this your guy? The guard to John's right proclaimed. John tilted his head upward, following the reptile's forest green body from neck to tail. Yes, he has the blue snake tattoo running down his back. He's my guy. The guard patted the reptile's cell. Teach, get off the ceiling. Our captain requires your hospitality. Teach took a gander at John's medal with his vertically slit pupil and squirmed from its ceiling to the wall at a frenzied pace. Our captain? Teach cackled. But what a fun thought! And a captain with only one medal, no less. A smirk appeared on John's bumpy cheekbone. Roderick, Abdallah, lock the cell behind me. Let's see what this pirate is made of. The guards glanced at each other succinctly before the cell locked. Wanted a better look at my tattoo? Actually, I'd like to know where you got it. Teach peered adjacent at John's salmon pink wrinkles. What does a Xenic want with a snake tattoo? A Xenic? I see you've picked up a few things from the raptors. A cold exhale from Teach's bulbous mouth reached the wall's pavement. I'm merely describing the discernible. Your kin came to our solar system without permission. What better word would there be to describe you? Teach added with a finger point. John sat down and pressed his dislocated jaw against his knuckles. I am here on behalf of all of our kin. Raptors, reptiles, apes. We all lost hundreds of souls when the Grand Jury blew up. If your ship's recording system caught anything peculiar, anything at all, we could prevent another Grand Jury event from happening. Teach began to close his eyelid halfway. That seems fine and dandy, but would that help my crew? Not really, because your chief revoked me and my boys' rights. If my recordings did have anything sweet, your spy master would just sour all my other files. John's jaw twitched. Wellsling won't be investigating the ship. It'll just be me and you. Look, the task I lay before you is simple. We'll visit your ship, you activate the admin scan, and I see what condition the Grand Jury was in by the time you passed by. I promise your license will be restored. Believe me. A rustling noise spurred from the wall to the floor. Teach tilted his head towards the captain. John, how gullible do you think I am? I understand your meddling ways. An ape captain doesn't have authority over the chief. You can't make that decision even if you wanted. Also, giving you access to the files puts my boys' accounts at risk. You're just labeling this forgery under an excuse that some odd emission from the Yuri might have caused it to blow up? Huh. No wonder you're a one-star captain. Odd emission? That didn't appear in a recording. With an extensive inhale, John gradually stood up. Well, I guess we're done here. Unfortunately, what they say is true. A reptile's heart is as cold as its blood. Teach's eyes began to widen. Not as cold as your wife's, but we're pretty close. A concave puncture started to develop in John's chest as he held a laugh. Huh. Didn't think my joke was that funny, Teach stated as he strode to the bed. That's not why I'm laughing, John said. Anyhow, have some phenomenal hours, Mr. Teach. John withdrew from the cell and beckoned to Roderick. So, apparently, the Yuri had this emission of some kind when Teach was at the scene. It could explain what went wrong with the Yuri. All these cells are being recorded, right? Correct? Roderick eagerly nodded. Good. Send my interrogation to Chief Chorus. He'll provide a warrant to scavenge Teach's ship system. That's astounding, Captain, Roderick added. But isn't his ship gene-locked? How will you make Taijich comply? I won't, unfortunately. We'll have to sedate him. He's too stubborn, John mellowed. And understandable. He threw a fit when Chorus's guys tried to speak with him. Roderick's face expressed a soft complexion. Say, how did you manage to gain anything from him? John repositioned his reptilian-shaped medal back on his shoulder as he grew a soft grin. Simple. Play stupid and let the other person keep yapping. That's incredible, Captain. Also, if the emission is linked to the explosion, and there's evidence that it was intentional, you could become an admiral in no time. John briefly whirled his hand on the head. Let's hope it wasn't intentional. But at least there's a bright side if it is. Roderick held the gateway open for John to exit. Say, if the explosion turns out to be planned, would this mastermind be at the 40th anniversary of peace? John's eyes became stressed as his breathing slightly. Oh, it cut off a bit. Anyhow, so essentially, like the rest of my chapter, essentially say that like John's eyes became stressed as his breathing slightly increased. I don't know. Only time will tell. End of chapter.
Okay. Nice. Interesting chapter. I don't know if I would have necessarily gotten whether or not they were raptor type creatures without you or saying it in the chat, because
Well, I haven't introduced any raptor characters yet. Only 8 reptile characters.
Oh, okay. I guess like non-humanoid, I think is a better way of putting it.
Yeah, I should have said beforehand that my premise is essentially just like raptors, reptiles, and apes are about to have like an intergalactic war with each other, and I'm thinking about having that like my book cover would kind of like convey the fact that like okay, there's a raptor, a reptile, and an ape, so it gives the reader like some pre-context as to what to look forward to. But yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking that like there's not much like description of the creatures in terms of what they look like or like specific like movements that they make.
Yeah. With the apes, I said that like they had like coats of dark fur and like the face wrinkles. Or specifically pink face wrinkles, but you know.
Okay. Yeah, I guess like fur, I suppose, but it's kind of just like, okay, I guess that's one way of doing it. Well,
Yeah, because
I
because
just didn't get a clear picture, I suppose.
yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, for me it was not very clear at the beginning what it was all about until you explained me. until you explained it in the chat itself, and then it became more clearer the more I focused on the content itself. So that's good, but I would have liked to have like a heads up without needed to tell. I don't know if that is because it is in a chapter. It's a mid chapter, or how do I see?
No, this is the first chapter.
Ooh, well, then it is not very clear. Sorry, for me at least.
Okay. I think I'm going to have a more detailed explanation near the beginning, like specifically what John looks like, because I usually don't really like when like a story kind of pauses to explain something, so I gradually like give out more information on like the environment
You could
and
let
what the characters look
let
like
the
as they're
character-
about to say something.
You could let the characters explain the situation they're in at the beginning, like, they're on the brink of an intergalactic war, for instance. You could
Well, none of them really know any of that. Right now, it's a bit more of like a covert. Like none of them really know that they're on the brink of a war at all. Like this 40th anniversary of peace is between the apes and the raptors because they want to like maintain that peace. Like right now, John's main concern is trying
Okay.
and unify the food, because he views that as like a more pressing matter than like dealing with the raptors and reptiles, which goes to show like the power scale that the raptors and reptiles have compared to the apes, pretty much.
All right. All right.
For me, it was kind of just like I couldn't get a clear picture of like what, like I think like what it was kind of missing was like I guess an establishing shot. I suppose I can listen back to it, but that was kind of what I felt like was
Okay.
missing,
I can give you, yeah, I can give you my entirety of my first chapter, so you can actually read through it done if you want.
Yeah. I'm still looking through at James Knighton's stuff.
Speaking of
for
James
sure.
Knighton, he's in the chat now.
And I know, I acknowledged him already. See?
Hello.
So hello there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think if you make it a little bit more clearer, I think that it's getting way better.
Okay.
Cool.
I think
Like a one.
I thought the delivery was good. There were a few word choices here and there, like the right eye used to lay. Why not
Well,
the right eye used to be?
well, yeah, it used to. Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better. Because he only has one eye, because his other was like damaged to the point where like, okay, might as well it's just not inoperable at all anymore.
Yeah, there are a few other weird ones, like the finger point thing. For some reason, pointing a finger at him, maybe.
Okay.
A couple of things like that. Few things. I can't remember. Pled, maybe claimed. I don't remember the. I just wrote a few notes down while I was listening. So
Okay.
things like that. So maybe look over a few of the word choices.
Yeah, I've actually never really written anything before. This is like my first like proper like book.
Writing is hard as the blazes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Writing is goddamn hard.
Kill it.
Kill it. You're trying to make a career off of it.
Die, writing, die.
No, it's D writing, right? It's German.
Oh, great. So we're losing Tolkien. Lovely.
Yeah, well, everyone knows that Tolkien was raw anyway.
And Lewis as well. And
Yeah.
Martin.
Yeah. And Brando Sando is absolute filth.
Well, we know this for true because he's a white dude.
Well, so are Tolkien, Lewis, and a whole bunch of other people if we want to get all racial white male resentment about it. Yeah, that was the comic relief for this session.
I had a way different version or vision in my head, but all right.
So, do we want me to read my thing?
Go for it.
Go for it, man. Knock them dead.
I will. How can you kill a word when your mind cannot not thinking? Oh, I don't know. Anyway,
Excellent choice. So, if you didn't notice, Count, it is muting. I don't know why.
All right. So this is still chapter 11 of the same one, Lady Margaret. The Governor Bruno went to the castle Certheton claiming that he was the lord there because he was meant to marry Margaret, but he was sent packing. So now he's gone to court, literally, but not the law court, the Emperor's court. She's mine. Their treaty is not to the point. After a month's journey, Bruno had arrived at court to a less than enthusiastic welcome, and was playing a game of Amnushu, a complex chess-like game for 3 players, with the priest Malala and the prince Mpu'u in the latter's study. The study was not too dissimilar to Count Garawada's. It was much larger and more ornate, with far more gold and jewels, and contained some 50,000 books, whereof Glorious had read perhaps, whereas Glorious Mpu'u had read perhaps 100th. Oh God. 100th, which was still 50 times as many as Exalted, the Emperor, had ever read. The prince was getting tired of Bruno and had insisted on the game because the meeting would have been unbearable otherwise. Then marry her, said Mpu'u, waving contemptuously at his left shoulder. Oh wait, she's already married. Or getting married anyway. If you want her, go to Darzaz and marry her. If you can get to her before some half-barbarian of the far west does. We have more interesting things to think about, like paint drying. If she's married, that will be difficult. No, sorry. If she's married, that will be difficult, said Malala gravely. A woman may not have more than one husband, as is stated in... Never mind, said Mpu'u. We know already. And your warrior just stepped on fire. The Castellan refuses to accept my authority, insisted Bruno. Really, the court was even worse than the Calamans. They made everything a screaming hassle, always had to overcomplicate everything. Exalted's credibility will be lost if some wretched Castellan can flout his exalted authority like this. Do you, Glorious, not see that? I see that you have lost all your warriors, said the prince. What he wouldn't give for some Waka'a. These provincials and their attitudes. And you should have been prepared for this. Looked over the treaty. Maybe there's something in it you could have used. Come with a decent-sized army in the first place. You knew they were prepared for you. Why are all you nobles so stupid? No wonder the peasantry are restive. Mpu'u placed his second Yaji next to the first. We must all be friends, said the Yaji, the priest. Thus spake Karat. Oh God. Wanaisha Ingminara Naharajmu, which means comity and harmony are praiseworthy. He deliberately put his second most important piece in as exposed a place as possible, hoping Mpu'u would seize it. The prince rolled his eyes. Bruno, in the meantime, looked even sulkier than he had before. I shall need an army, he said, glorious, blessed. He stared blankly at the board, nodded in token of indifference, and moved a random piece in a random direction. Who cared about this stupid game anyway? Your court etiquette is almost as bad as your playing, said Mpu'u. Are you making demands of Exalted Box or petitioning it? He sighed loudly and casually took 3 of Bruno's pieces with his dragon. He pointedly ignored Malala Ama's exposed piece. You'll have to try harder than that, blessed. Petitioning. I beg Exalted, please give lowly slave an army, said Bruno, almost snappily. We will discuss this with Exalted Box and see what it says, said Mpu'u. It would help if you had something to offer. It's your turn, Blessed. The priest put another piece in an exposed position. Even his playing is panegyric, groused Mpu'u to himself. We've already promised increased tribute, said Bruno. I believe that when you throw yourself upon Exalted Mercy, something more is required, Mpu'u sighed. It's your turn, by the way. You people might consider making some effort to play the game properly. Bruno grumbled under his breath and moved his dragon. He thought it was a dragon anyway. Somewhere or other, the prince threw up his arms helplessly and seized Bruno's last important piece. The provincial wanted to be trounced. Who is Mpu'u to deny him? It's praiseworthy to give to the Temple of the Way, in Malala Ama. This was as close as he could get to actually demanding a bribe, so he did it in as unctuous a manner as possible, which was pretty unctuous. Do Glorious and Blessed have any idea how expensive the court is? Retorted Bruno. Yes, given that we live here, said Mpu'u. By the way, you lost. Blessed, you lose in one turn if you don't watch your remaining warrior. Couldn't these people at least try? We don't make much money in the provinces, said Bruno, absolutely filling with his 13th golden ring. He had a collection of 21 and had been hoping to augment it. He was, if anything, rather glad to be out of the game. Then extort more bribes, said the prince, waving his left hand scornfully in Bruno's general direction. Bruno looked outraged. Good. Exact more tribute. I, Glorious, don't care. Blessed cares even less, and Exalted cares less than anyone. If you want us to help you, you can jolly well pay for it. What Greatwind requests is most irregular, added the Yaji. To annul a marriage and award the lady to you based on your asking for her first, it's not according to any canons that I know of. It will require much research to determine whether the law allows for such an exception. He distractedly put his warrior in a black circlet which was against the rules. Or maybe it wasn't so distractedly. Very well, said Bruno. My glorious and blessed masters have graced me abundantly, and Exalted Mercy shines upon the earth like a solitary sun. He did his best, but the last sentence came out as something more like, You make me sick. Good, said the prince. You may go. Greatwind may go. Whatever. Blessed you lose. I win. What a surprise. Glorious intellect casts my feeble mind into the shadows with your skill, fawned Malala Ama, lowering his head in as servile a manner as was consonant with his priestly dignity. Nonsense, said Mpu'u. I know you'll let me win. Your position started out vastly better, and you're not that poor a player. This is the boring thing about being Imperial. One of the boring things. No one dares win a game against me except Exalted, and he doesn't know the first thing about playing. Greatwind Bruno, why are you still here? Go already. He waved a hand towards the exit, and Bruno crawled out of the study backwards, still half sputtering. I suppose we'd best ask Exalted about it to get it over with. Mpu'u sighed. It's unimportant enough that he probably can't mess up too badly. More than he already has. Exalted wisdom, began Malala Ama, but the prince motioned him to be silent. Never mind, he said. Save the adulation for Exalted ear. So they headed towards Exalted Chamber, which was a good ways away and on a higher story. But Mpu had a secret stairway behind one of the less frequently used bookcases, so that he could consult with Exalted if needed. Ekwekwe hated this, and was always the Emperor, hated this, and was always talking of getting the staircase sealed up, but never remembered. To be fair, Mpuhu hated it too. The further away one was from Exalted Chamber, the better. But duty called. How long have I been reading?
About 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
I think I can read a little bit more than, let's see. Yeah, I'll read a little bit more, because this next section is not too long. Why do you keep annoying Exalted me, said Ekwekwe. Can't you see I'm busy with the Saranges? Actually, he was mainly busy with a pair of cross-dressing monkeys, but the less said about that, the better. Mpu and Malala Ama had been admitted into Exalted Bedchamber immediately by the guards. Guarding the Imperial Bedchamber was a task sought out by only the most deviant guards, and was viewed as a horrible punishment by the rest, and had intimated to Ekwekwe that they wished to consult with him. Exalted reluctantly put the monkeys aside and stared at the pornography on the walls instead. Heavy is the burden of the crown, intoned Malala Ama, fiddling with his sacred necklace and making the gesture of the 9, which seemed singularly out of place in this room. So it is written in the book of Runja. Lunnu agaryaj na. Replied the Emperor. The Waramad's boring. Malala Ama secretly agreed, but succeeded in looking shocked anyway, from long practice. Mpu found himself wishing he'd been born blind and deaf. He hated this room. Regrettably, when one is a ruler, one does have to spend some time actually, ruling. It's a bother, I know. Rubbish, said Exalted. Ruling means doing what I like. Exalted I. And where are Marga and Barama? By the time they get here, I'll be too old. You're already too old. Mpu'u knew better than to say that out loud, though. He sighed and rolled his eyes instead. It is decent to allow time for mourning, said Malala Ama. The Waramad, indeed. Commented Mpu'u sotto voce. Why didn't I bring any waka'a? I quickly wheezed, coughed, and flatulated. Mourn what? He snorted. Traitors. The demands of nature must be met, said the priest. The more revolting Ekwekwe got, the more grave and dignified Malala Ama became by reaction. Nothing in his expression betrayed the fact that he was in a pornography-studded room in the presence of a doddering obese obscenity with all the majesty of mildew. In Death and Life, it says, "Dry up, exalted, silence," said the Emperor. Malala Ama did, albeit with a pained expression. Can we please get to the point, pleaded Mpu'u, waving his arms helplessly, and get it over with? Bruno reports that the Castellan of Serthaton refuses allegiance to him. That's hardly surprising. We should have dug up a relative of the late Count and appointed him. So long as he's a puppet, of course. relying on some random, undependable official to marry an heir who isn't even there and can't be reached, not easily anyway, and just hoping she'll wed him when we're not in a position to put direct pressure on her. Well, there are doubtless stupider plans, but not many. Perhaps Bruno has title by virtue of being Margaret's imperially recognized husband, suggested Malala Ama, who better than Exalted to determine the truth. Almost anyone, thought the prince. Without an actual marriage, he said out loud. Well, I suppose you could issue a statement that you don't recognize her marriage to Edrion, for whatever reason. Dig around. Or perhaps the temple archivist can be persuaded to find a document proving that she married Bruno. The temple archivist had been a forger before getting pardoned and hired by Akwekwe III, and was considered an expert in the field. Meanwhile, Exalted had got distracted by one of the more disgusting bas-reliefs in the room and took several minutes to get to the point. Exalted? Inquired the priest. Mputu sighed loudly. Just do it and leave, said Ekwekwe. Boring. You do want to ensure that Ichalem will remain in the Empire, Exalted, pointed out the prince. It would weaken our power, not to mention our wealth, to lose it. Especially since Darzaz would leave the Empire as well. Not to mention that Bruno will be less likely to object to Margaret joining the Barusa, if Exalted is still obsessing over that. He checked himself from making a disdainful gesture. Doing so in Exalted presence automatically incurred Exalted displeasure. First class. That was bad. Very well, arrange for the forces, said Exalted. Just make sure someone we trust is in charge. Now go. They went, crawling up backwards according to etiquette, and headed straightway to their sarangis. Exalted, in the meantime, went back to the monkeys. Exalted is bored of us as we are of him, muttered the prince, and of each other. Malala Ama pretended not to have heard. And that is that.
Nice
Yeah,
checking in with the bad guys chapter. I suppose.
Yep. Checking in with the bad guys. Not to
I
mention
still-
that
I still really like the wordplays with the namings. So funny.
the names are hard. Let's see.
Yeah. But important.
Important, and they're all, and almost all of them have like some kind of meaning behind them.
And jokes.
Yeah, like the cross-dressing monkeys.
Yeah, the cross-dressing monkeys are back. No comment. Is the Emperor Pac-Man? Probably.
Waka waka. E.
Oh yeah, that's a drug.
Weirdly enough, that just makes me think of Africa by Shakira.
I know. I had the same mind reason here as well.
Waka.
Waka waka A. Namdanti Amdria. This is Africa.
Africa.
Charming coincidence.
It's still a very confusing story to follow for me, but it's still very funny how certain conversations go. So I really like it.
Yeah, it'll be obvious that none of these people like each other very much.
Oh no, definitely not. They don't like each other at all.
So
For the rest, I think just keep up the good work, I guess.
I'll try. Hopefully the
Yeah,
game
pretty
wasn't.
good.
Sorry?
That was pretty good.
Thank you, my good people. That were bow before me and sing my praises.
Praises to God.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Phrases to our Methuselah.
Mhm.
I wouldn't go that far either, but I won't argue that point.
All right.
Anything horrible, deadly that must be destroyed and killed and die?
What? No, that's impossible.
Good. Good. NZ Haka. Oh, all right. The Haka thing. Oh, that's right. That Maori chant. I actually have a T-shirt with that chant on it. For half a second, I didn't know what he meant.
Cobra.
Oh, all right. New Zealand. Yeah. I see. Those people.
Witi te ra. The sun is rising. Kamate kaora. It is life, it is life, it is death, it is death. Or no, it is death, it is death, it is life, it is life. That's
You know what I still find very funny when you go to a zoo and you look at a parrot and it says "ara ara."
parrots are all right.
Yeah, but their name is "ara ara," and that's the very fun thing about it.
This is a gloriously triumphant moment in the story.
Indeed.
All right. Shall I continue?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Hold on. I need to double check one thing. I can do it like that. Oh. Let's see. Nope. Ah. All right. So if I. Okay. Cool. So allow me to reset this, and then I can start. Boop 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 boo. The Isekai of Awesomeness, and then let's go. Chapter 0, because, well, this Chapter 0, it's the prelogue. I did a lot of work on this, so hold your horses. 3, 2, 1, go. Chapter 0, the God, the Demon Lord, and the Certifiable Wizard. Well. I never thought the demons would be able to be petrified. I guess no one ever thought of it. Until now, that is, says the wizard with a smirk on his face. Shortly after, he reaches out his hand to strafe the demon lord's petrified face that is now in a constant emotion of anger. Oh, don't be so hot-headed. I won fair and square, I mean, really. So much power, and yet it was all taken away by such a simple spell. As the wizard finishes his sentence, he starts to chuckle and follows it up by laughter. Within minutes, the room lights up as sun rays start pouring through the castle windows, revealing the room now fully, and all those who have been petrified. Those who try to flee, those who try to protect their lord, and those who were just there at the wrong moment. All of them turn to stone. As the sunlight touches the stone floor, the wizard moves to one of the windows to look at the sunset. He opens the window, and a heavy breeze reveals a burned paper scroll falling down slowly where the wizard stood. With a smirk on his face, he speaks once again. You know, all of this could have been avoided, really. But I must say, I don't mind seeing you all turn into stone. After all, you burned it all. My tower, my research. You know how close I was to immortality? And then seeing it all go up in smoke? Man, I despise every single one of you. Ha! Look at that sun. So peaceful. Oh. You guys should have really followed that, instead of that stupid warmongering leader of yours. I should have done this way earlier. It would have saved me so much more headache. But no! You guys didn't even want to quit when I warned you. And now, all of this is ruined. Ha! Served you right. With satisfaction in his face, the wizard walks away from the window. But suddenly, a portal starts appearing behind him. He tries to look behind him to see what just happened. See what happened. But a blinding flash of light suddenly appears, causing him to avert his eyes. After that, he feels a sudden pain in his chest. As the blinding light fades away, he eventually opens his eyes only to see a gaping hole in his chest. The more he looks at it, the more he loses his composure. As his eyes start to widen, and fear starts to kick in, the wizard quickly tries to hold a grasp on one of the edges of the portal with one hand to hold himself steady, and the other to stop the heavy bleeding. But as he tries to mend his wounds, his magic begins to fade. No, 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 no! This is not happening! What the hell is going on? The wizard shouts with disparity in his voice. Disparity in his voice. As his eyes as his eyesight begins to become blurry. You swine! Look at you! You misguided piece of garbage! You think thanks to you, my beloved hero is Johnny, along with my well out thought story, is ruined. The mighty voice said, as it is heard echoing through the whole castle floors. Shortly after, the voice starts to shout, and within a blink of an eye, the wizard is struck by a mighty golden glowing gust of wind, causing him to fly through the portal at breakneck speed. The wizard tries desperately to grasp the edge of the portal, to not get sucked in, but to no avail. His whole body starts to disintegrate into minutes as he enters a dark space, and so he sees the portal fully closes. He speaks, and so when he sees the portal fully closes, he speaks his final words as he tries to grasp for air. I guess it's true what they all say, but I didn't know it's supposed to be a warning. Oh man, I really should have listened to that damn cleric. As the body is now fully disappeared into nothingness, the wizard is no more. Although, the only thing that's left behind of the wizard is a glowing green crystal floating in a dark space full of sparkling stars. Done.
Pretty fun. Couple of word choices that I would definitely change, since you've used the wrong definition.
Oh. Wrong
Since-
definition. I see.
Since disparity, I think you mean despair, since disparity means difference.
What? Difference? Oh. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I honestly was like, it's supposed to be disparity, right? The person looks despair. He has disparity in his voice. English, such a lovely language. Aren't you not fun about it?
Yeah, I think you mean despair, which is DESPAIR,
Ah, despair in his voice.
or dismay, which is how it sounds. DISMAY.
Dismay doesn't sound nice with it.
Well, this yeah, dismay is well. Despair is kind of weird because despair doesn't quite.
Despair in his voice. Yeah, that's the problem. I was like, despair doesn't sound nice, so I will go for disparity because that means that he is desperate, but apparently not.
You could say desperation, maybe.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, desperation.
Dismay is also good. Just desperation. Yeah, despair is just you've lost hope.
Yeah,
It's much more extreme.
yeah. It's. I think you also mean them misbegotten, not misbeguided.
Misbegotten. What does misbegotten mean then?
Misbegotten means that you're badly conceived. Usually, like it's used as an insult.
Ah, okay. So probably it's spelled like miss and then B and
Or
then gotten, right?
So there's a couple. So the literal definition is badly conceived, designed, or planned, but it also means contemptible.
Ah, all right. Perfect for that. Perfect for that wizard because he is absolutely terrible. He
Yeah.
technically just ruined his whole. He technically ruined this god's plan to create to summon a hero to this world, beat the demon king. But no, the wizard got first.
Yeah.
I hate it when that happens.
But yeah,
Yeah.
misbeguided. But yeah, misbeguided. That is not a word that exists.
Really?
It's a pity. It's a cool looking
Misguided
word.
is a word, so misbeguided should be a word too. Just the guy who got misguided. But all right, apparently misbeguided is nothing, so it's gonna be misbegotten piece of garbage. Meh.
Let's see. I like the delivery, and it's very lively.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the same story as before that you're reading before?
Yes, it's the
Okay.
it's the intro, but I fixed so many problems like talkative and pacing. It is now fully it's not fully solved, which didn't got solved at the beginning.
Good. Are you doing it all in present tense?
I try to
Okay, good. I just
because
wanted
that's
to
the
make sure.
important part. I'm trying to do it all present tense, and then next chapter is gonna be even more problematic because it's gonna be like, oh my god, I need to do now the full chapter that is like 4 pages long that I need to install into this program of a visual novel. Oh god. So yeah. So that's what I'm be working on the visual novel, but it is always such a big one to work with. But thanks again.
Despair.
I'll try to get the second chapter up and running, or well, the first chapter up and running in the thing, and then I'll speak to you in this lovely kind of chat again with you know the what is it called again? Oh, yeah, writer showcase. So then you will have a full new one.
Cool.
All right. Yeah, then go ahead.
All right. So the last time we were here, Mordred was examining the city, figuring out what is going on, and he finds out that the shrine that he built for his dead mom, it has been basically turned into a market with a lot of people that are less than reputable. So he destroys their wares, and basically like just sets up court, I suppose is the best way of putting it, in the temple to try and make things right. Best way I can put it.
So basically, he's taking over here.
Kind of.
Could do a lot worse.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Alrighty. Alright, chapter 13, Power and Authority. Kara ran through the corridor to Varys' office, Baruch following close behind. Varys was reading through reports. A pair of spectacles perched on the bridge of his nose. The sight of the older man with spectacles surprised Kara so much that she paused in the doorway. Yes, I'm getting old, Varys said flatly, looking over his glasses at them with an ambivalent expression on his grizzled face. What is it? He's run off, Kara said quickly. No need to say who he was. Varys immediately stood up. When? He asked deliberately. Can't have been more than 30 minutes ago, Kara explained. Me and Baruch went into his room to check on him, but when we got in, he wasn't there. Hopefully he hasn't done anything mad. Varys shook his head, and here I thought having a demigod to deal with would be relatively simple. Kara snorted. You assumed, or maybe hoped, that he would be like you and Arthur. Yes, because that's the only sensible way to live. Varys grunted, stowing his spectacles away in a small case. My Lord Varys. The messenger nearly tripped and fell when as he ran into the room. Several angry merchants from the East Market are in the courtyard. They want reparations for their wares being destroyed. Tell them to wait. Varys said. His voice was soft, but his tone was hard as good steel. I have a more pressing matter. They're saying some man in armor with a 6-foot-long sword made from black steel threw them out of the East Market and destroyed their wares, the messenger blurted. Silence. Varys' lips peeled back in a grimace. Kara's mouth dropped open. Baruch just looked bored. You cannot be serious. Varys broke the silence, allowing Kara the opportunity to close her mouth. This cannot be happening. He can't have done something that stupid. You assumed he didn't hold anything sacred, Kara rubbed her forehead. Because holding anything sacred other than your family and your duty to your country is stupidity, Varys growled. Kara didn't respond to that. She was quite used to Varys' stubborn adherence to his secular or atheist view of the world. Even if she didn't agree with him at all. Well, shall we find our friend and see what went on? She asked instead. Yes, we probably should, Varys grimaced. Damn it all, I didn't think that we'd have to deal with the merchants and the priests at the same time. Well, maybe he had a good reason. Kara knew that was extremely weak as soon as it came out of her mouth. There can be no reason for doing something like this, Varys said flatly. There is no excuse. Frustration plain on his face, the older man rubbed his eyes. I'll have Kate deal with the merchants. Opening the coffers for such a trivial matter is going to be a serious ordeal, but we'll have to. Kara nodded and followed him out the door. The number of merchants in the courtyard surprised even Baruch. Kara could see Varys counting them, jaw growing tighter and tighter with each successive number. Or maybe he's counting the money being dumped down a pit. Kara corrected when she saw him out of what she thought was 10 crowns. Lord Varys, one of them yelled. We were assaulted. Some madman with a sword destroyed our wares, another threw in. Our livelihoods are ruined, the chorus bleated in unison. We want justice, a female money changer shrieked, shaking her hand at Varys. Arrest him! Varys glared down at the crowd until they all quieted under his cold, unflinching gaze. We will discuss reparations, the older man said flatly. Your wares and their worth were documented at the beginning of the day. What was lost will be given back. The clamor began again. Varys nodded to Kara, who drew her sword and rested the tip on the ground. Form an orderly line, or you get nothing, she declared. State your name to the stewards, and we will take care of you once your records are found. That got them to shut up. Varys sighed and patted Kara's shoulder. Thanks. I'm glad you're on our side. Clearly frustrated, the grizzled general rubbed his temples. Maybe he had a headache. Hopefully we don't have to shill out too much. There's only so much in the treasury. Kara wished she could disagree, but Varys had a point. Now that they were on their own, it was probably best to assume that no money would be coming their way in terms of tax allotments from the crown. When they entered the East Market, Kara was shocked to see that everything had been cleared out. The place was shining as the intricate patterns called into the wall emanated a golden light. Everywhere she looked, Kara could see nothing but beautiful white stone, clean and pristine. Gold inlay all along the pillars and the cornerwork. Varys stared around at the drastically changed shrine, eyes clearly taking account of every coin and likely to be spent upkeeping it. In the center, Mordred was talking to the crowd in turn, carefully listened to whatever they were saying, then handed them an item. For some of them it was a pot or other main item, kitchen item, but others he provided what looked like a book. As soon as one of the people walked away, Kara sneaked a glance at the book's hook in her arms. Techniques for sewing and loom construction. Huh. Kara remarked as a large man left carrying a book that was about smithing techniques. It seems as though he believes in the principle of teaching someone their trade rather than a free meal. He can't have entire books memorized at a degree that he can create them wholesale. Varys shook his head in disbelief. It can't be possible. Well, why don't we see? Kara shrugged. Varys gave her a flat look. May I borrow that? Kara asked when another female plaintiff came back holding a book. Initially, the woman held it close, but she tentatively let Kara look at it. So as not to agitate the woman, Kara quickly flicked through the pages. Swallowing, she looked up at Varys. It's perfect. Nothing about it is out of place. Give me that! Varys walked over and snatched the book, furiously turning page after page. His eyes widened as he passed the book back to its owner, who snatched it back and ran out of the shrine as if she feared he would take it. Take it for good this time. Impossible, he whispered. An entire book? Well, it appears he's put the printing presses out of business, Kara said blithely. It's more than that, Varys whispered. He could provide cheap books that will teach trades as effective as any journeyman. And they can refer back to it whenever they need it. Kara paused. That would change so many things. Books, even one made by the latest printing press, were expensive. Him just handing them out was surprising. Well, might as well tear the scab off. Varys grimaced and started walking toward the crowd. Thankfully, rather than Mordred making Varys push his way through the crowd and causing a scene, he slowly stood up and walked through the crowd, the people parting easily for him. Lord Varys, Mordred clasped his hands behind his back, purple and silver eyes calm. As I promised, I didn't kill anyone, but you have my apologies for any issues caused by my actions nonetheless. What were you thinking? Varys' words were clear despite his teeth clenched tight. Have you gone insane? No, Mordred said coolly. I saw a wrong that needed to be righted. so I did what needed to be done. There will be serious consequences for this, Varys warned. There is a crowd of extremely angry people demanding justice for you destroying their wares, and rightly so. The ones whose wares I destroyed were the ones robbing their customers, Mordred said calmly, expression as matter-of-fact as his tone. They were abusing their license to sell goods. The ones who were treating their customers fairly did not have their goods destroyed. Well, you can't prove anything now because, as I said, Ed, I have a group of exceptionally angry merchants claiming you're the villain in this situation because you destroyed the overpriced goods. Varys growled, jaw clenched. I have multiple eyewitnesses, including other merchants, Mordred said flatly. If they want the fair price of what they lost, I'll provide it. I will not tolerate theft from people who don't have the ability to protect themselves from price gouging to this degree. Varys ground his teeth, clearly trying to figure out some kind of argument against Mordred was saying, but the calm yet stubborn expression on Mordred's face showed that he was going to fight for his position. Finally, he forced out, "You need to go through the proper channels for this. If you take the law upon yourself, nothing will remain stable." I have to agree, Karish folded her arms. Mordred's eyes flicked to her, and for a moment she saw the same hunger as the night they'd met burn in those strange orbs. It vanished quickly, but it was there. He told me they don't procreate, she thought, so why does he look at me like that? You mentioned the law, Mordred said, voice calm as a pond. He trailed off and nodded toward the entrance of the market. We have company. Kara turned and cursed. A priest and priestess were walking into the shrine, clearly intent on Mordred. I'll handle them, Varys said, clearly about to shoo them away, but Mordred walked forward and moved the older man aside. No, this is my fight. I'll deal with them. Kara couldn't help but see a kingly air about him as he stood tall and faced the priest with a calm, dignified expression on his face. You are this Mordred, one of the older priest remarked as they got close. I am. He summoned his sword and leaned on it casually. We wish to discuss some of what you've been saying to the people. The priestess, a dark-haired woman with fervor in her eyes, placed her arms inside the sleeves of her robe. You have said that you are what remains of an ancient god. Now we know that this is blasphemy and a lie, so we wish to understand what kind of madness has driven you to profane against the goddess. Oh, great, Varys groaned. Theological nonsense. The passionate priestess bristled and drew herself up angrily. Just because you don't believe in the goddess, Lord Varys, doesn't mean that this man is not a blasphemer, she declared. Let's leave, Varys said calmly. We don't have to deal with these zealous fools. How dare you, the priest pointed at Varys. You have chosen to depart from the faith of your forefathers. Do not mock it further. I'll mock whatever idiot spouting nonsense regarding what nobody has seen or heard I please, Varys retorted, putting himself between Mordred and the priests. Shaking his head, Mordred placed his hand on Varys' shoulder and moved him back. You have an issue with me, neighbors, he said calmly. I would like to hear what you have against me telling you who I am. What you say you are is an impossibility. The priestess didn't sound mollified. Quite the contrary. There is only one true goddess, and all others are false idols that are sent from the Shadow King to deceive the unwary. What would you say that her son and herald is? Is there any other form of description that fits better than lesser god? Mordred said calmly. Varys' eyes widened and Kara gasped. The crowd was now listening intently to the discussion. The priests were staring at him, constipated anger in their faces. "You are not the son of the goddess!" The priestess blurted. "She is holy and would not lay with anyone." "She didn't need to," Mordred said calmly. "She formed me out of unorganized matter, molding my essence into my current form." They stared at him, eyes wide. "Who are you?" "I am who I said I am." Mordred rested his hands on the pommel of his sword. "I am the son of Guinevere, the one you revere as your goddess. I am the one who started your religion to honor my mother. Heresy! The priest raised his hand and made a sign against evil. "You cannot have." "Yes, I did." Mordred walked over to one of the walls and ran his hand along the scrollwork running over the stones. "I built this place, carving each stone in its upper spot. Carefully building this place. Carefully forming this place. Forming this shrine as a monument to my mother. I was the one who blessed and anointed Bedivere as high priest. I was the one who placed the law on this building so that no one would forget what she taught you." In a flash, the scrollwork changed to words in Nordenbard's modern script. As the people asked at seeing their holy texts on the walls of the shrine, Mordred turned back to the priests. "I gave you the law. And have you kept or remembered the law? I see that you have not." Two priests looked at each other, then frantically conferred in whispers. Finally, the older man raised his voice. "We will confer with our superiors and get to the bottom of this." In a swirl of gold and red robes, the two departed. Mordred took a deep breath and looked at the crowd. Kara could tell that they were expecting something, but the scarred figure simply walked back to his seat in front of the goddess's statue. "If you wish anything of me, I will be able to help for another hour before I must leave. You all are important to me, but there are others who need my help." The people tried to quickly get through what they wanted, but in the end there were still a few people that did not get what they wanted. "I'm very sorry, but you will have to come back tomorrow," Mordred said calmly as he stood up and nodded to Kara and Varys. "I promised I would do my best to help Varys and Lady Kara, so you will have to wait." Some of the remaining people seemed sad, but they accepted his decision. As soon as they departed, Mordred seemed to sag and leaned against the statue, looking up at Varys and Kara as they stood close to him. Face drawn, he raised his left hand, a ball of purple light appearing over his palm, then closed his fist. The light vanished and swirled around him, then entered the body in motes of iridescent smoke. Sighing, the guard man straightened his posture and rolled his shoulders back so he could lean more comfortably against the statue. And that's all for today.
Nice. I really like the Mordred guy. He's a fun guy. Such a good guy to work around with, just a dude who just, I don't give a shit. You did something unlawful, and therefore, man, your good's gotta get punished. Don't give a shit.
He destroyed Free Enterprise.
No, he did
must
it carefully
die.
with a very calm and deserved voice.
He must die for destroying. He blasphemed against Free Enterprise and must die. Oops, hurts making that voice. Anyway, that was definitely interesting. Whenever you want to see an elder god, make sure that you do so during business hours only. That was fun though. There was one word choice, constipated anger, where people are likely to titter when they read that.
Possibly. Maybe consternated rather than constipated.
Consternated? I'm not sure that's a word. Repressed anger?
Hmm. Yeah, I'll have to look around for a good synonym. And
Yeah, I mean, that's. But other than that, yeah, that was very entertaining. What would happen if Mordred and Malachor met?
well, Malachor is technically evil.
Yes.
Mordred is good guy, I suppose. As you could
Hey,
say.
he's chaotic good. Yeah.
So would they beat each other up?
Probably.
Malachor would probably just destroy Mordred because he's unbound, whereas Mordred is severely limited.
Bother. I wanted Mordred to win. Also, Malachor sells credit cards and stuff, so he probably has more money.
Probably. Well, he sells magic rings, which is probably a little bit more lucrative.
Yep. Sorry, stepped away. Yep. So what will the priest and priestess do now?
Get pissed.
Well, I thought they already did that.
Yeah, true. I guess mostly probably. I imagine. See, okay, say, huh? Okay, something weird about this guy. He is who he says. We should probably figure out what exactly he is.
Yeah, put a place for him in their religion.
Yeah. Do a Poseidon. Which thing? Poseidon does a lot of things. Mostly involving weird sex stuff with bulls. Because Poseidon is freaking weird.
There must be something in the water around ancient Greece.
Oh, undoubtedly.
And since Poseidon is the sea god, it's understandable he would get quite a lot of it.
Oh, the temple. Oh, are you talking about the time where where he had sex with Medusa in the middle of the temple or something? Any other thoughts before we conclude?
Not really. I don't have anything to add to it.
Yeah, not really.
Alrighty. Well, I gotta take a nap. I have a long night at work and a very early morning tomorrow.
Cool.
Since I have to get up at 9:20ish to do stuff.
Kill it dead.
No, I'm going on a date with a pretty girl, so I'm happy with it. So that's nice.
All right. Then good luck with that, because that's always good to have.
Have a riot.
Yep. And I think the this one's an appropriate one to end on, since we're gonna be, since I think the next stream, maybe like Monday or something, is gonna be a double feature of why we hated Your Highness and Cat in the Hat.
Okay,
So-
what time is that going to be?
I do not have any idea other than it's either going to be at 1 or 2 MST or 5 MST on Monday because of the unfortunate time zone problems.
Yeah, if it's 5 p.m., then maybe we could do Your Highness first.
Yeah, we'll do that, and then Cat in the Hat, because man, that was a terrible experience. Alrighty. Alright, we'll see. Alright. Adios, my friends.
I swear to God, if you come within my arm's reach, I will strangle each and every motherfucking one of you in front of the goddamn camera, and they can take me to jail for all I care. You filthy sons of bitches. I hope you all die of herpes. Do you understand? You can't even die of herpes, and I